A Football Manager European Journeyman. Small towns, small pitches, relegation, promotion, unknown adventure, and if all goes well, eventually you reach the promised land of the Champions League. I've always wanted to do a Football Manager European Journeyman, and I've never done one. So for the past 9 months, this right here is my life. I sit in front of a computer, building stuff on a computer, Zoom meetings. I don't go anywhere. I need more activity. Top it off, now we've just had the holidays. My wife is a really good cook. I've gained about 10 pounds in the past 9 months, and that's not even counting the muscle mass that I've lost. I feel like a big stick of butter. And I don't sleep as well. I don't have the concentration and focus that I feel like I had a year ago. I feel like I need to do something to fix it. So I started thinking, is there a way to combine a Football Manager Journeyman with better activity? So I had my dream of doing a Football Manager Journeyman. I had my problem of being a stick of butter and needing more activity. And I started to think how I might put these together. And I thinked and I thinked and I thinked. And finally I came up with an idea. And here's what I want to try. I'm going to do a Football Manager Journeyman with one big different house rule. And here it is. I can only move to a new club in the game when I've walked or exercised the distance between those two clubs in real life. And I'd be saying like, wait a second, like how's that going to work? Well, here's how it might work. Say for example, I've been managing a club in Salzburg, Austria, and I've been managing him for about 5 weeks. And in the course of those 5 weeks, in real life, I've walked and exercised about 300 kilometers. Here's a 300 kilometer circle drawn right on Salzburg, Austria. And basically what it means is that in Football Manager game, in my Journeyman, I can move to any club that lies within this circle. Now I've got a couple of little kind of sub-house rules that I'm putting in place for this too. One is that I can't move to another club in the same country. So Austria would be out. Now that could create some interesting scenarios. For example, if you get a club like right smack in the middle of Germany, getting out of Germany could be pretty hard. Whereas Salzburg, Austria, it's kind of right on the border of Germany, so maybe I'll get lucky and I can find a club right on the edge of Germany. And whatever distance I move, I subtract that from my total and I have to start over again when I want to move to another club. And the other house rule is that I have to move 5 times before I can make a run at the Champions League. Now you might say like, okay, well, like why would this be hard? Well, I'm thinking it's probably going to take me about 5 weeks to play 2 seasons in the real world. And my average move, I'm kind of guessing it's probably going to take about 320 kilometers, 200 miles to find some decent clubs that I could possibly move to that are going to get me out of the country on average. And that's about 65 kilometers a week that I have to cover to make this work. And in real life, honestly, right now, I'm embarrassed to say it, but I'm probably going about 35 kilometers a week. So really, it's going to require me to kind of up my activity by about 1 hour a day in order to make this work. Now, I do have one other kind of stick rule that I want to apply. My stick rule that I'm talking about is that I can only play Football Manager if I've walked or exercised 8 kilometers the previous day. So that's kind of a base minimum that I have to do. So my hope is that I won't be able to just kind of blow off whole days and kind of let them go by like that. Now, you might be saying like, okay, like why do I want to do this? And this is the thing, I'm hoping that I can use my love for Football Manager and the fact that I really enjoy playing the game so much to help motivate me as kind of a lever to get me to be more active in real life. Because really, I mentioned stick of butter and that keeps coming back into my head. I really do feel like a stick of butter the past few months here. So I'm hoping maybe I'll even lose some weight. I'll track all these numbers on a public spreadsheet that'll show how far I cover per day and how much weight I've lost or anything like that so people can follow along. But let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Be curious to think, is it crazy? Will it work? Are there things I'm not thinking about that means it's not going to work? But I'm pretty excited about the idea. And I think with that in mind, it's time to get started. So let's jump right in and get this going. The journey begins. Now, I've gone through and I've set the database up, and I'll talk about that, which leagues are in and stuff like that in a moment. But it's time to add myself to the game world. So here is Zilla Blitz, a more youthful version of myself. And just for the sake of getting that achievement, I picked a favorite team, Liverpool. Just sometimes you get offered that job and you trigger that achievement. Although in real life, I'm more neutral than anything else. Let's work a little bit on the appearance here. The only thing I probably want to mention here is that 6'1", 214 pounds. That's my real weight right now. And my ideal weight is about 193 pounds if I've been exercising. So I'm hopeful I can lose about 1.5 stones over the course, 21 pounds over the course of this adventure. We'll see how that goes. The outfit speaks for itself. We might change that up as we go along. Choosing team, of course, we're going to start unemployed. I have noticed that, and maybe I'm missing it, but you used to be able to pick the languages that you knew. And I don't see that anymore. So maybe I'm just missing it. Anyway, managerial style. I'm going with the traditional journeyman start, which is Sunday League football experiencer and no badges, of course. And then we have a few attribute points to play around with. I'm kind of dumping them all in adaptability because that supposedly I think will help us getting jobs in new countries and help us pick up new languages better. So we want to put all the points in there. Motivating is a 2 and working with youngsters is a 2. That is all I've got for that right now. And again, I don't see any place for modifying languages. Let me know if you know about that. Did it just fall out of the game or something, or what happened with that? So we will confirm this, and the world starts. It is July 6, 2020, and I've picked this starting date because that seems to offer, in this world, the way I've got it set up, the greatest variety of job offers in that first couple of weeks. So a lot of leagues are transitioning. When I started earlier, it was a narrower set. When I started later, it was a narrower set. I really like the July 6 start date because it seems to going to be able to generate us a bunch of job offers around Europe. So let's get this started. We're going to visit the Handy Dandy Job Center and let's apply. 113 jobs we just applied for. Wow, I wish I could apply for jobs in the real world that fast. That's pretty cool. Last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go through, and rather than making people wait hours to go through 113 job interviews and narrow these things down and stuff like that, I am going to go, I just want to show you the world that we're starting with. So here is our game world. I've aimed for a couple things. I've aimed for the lowest league in nations that are active to be between a rank, that FIFA ranking of between 100 and 150, because that seems to be a place where someone without any experience might have a chance of getting a job. So lots of half-star and one-star clubs that are open for jobs. I am going to do a house rule tool because it does seem that when you start out the game, you might get job offers from teams that are just completely unrealistic, like 1.5-star reputation clubs. So I'm going to limit myself to 1-star and half-star clubs, and ideally I'm going to try to look for something in that half-star range just to start at the very bottom. I think that's a little bit more realistic, even though this really isn't probably really realistic in terms of how you're thinking about it. But let's take a quick look. So we have Austria, England, Luxembourg, Spain, Switzerland, Netherlands, France, Belgium, Croatia, Germany, Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Czech Republic, Denmark, Italy, and Slovenia. Now, I've used custom databases by Timo. His databases are really cool for this. You could do the same type of thing with FM Digi's American database, which has just been released, by the way. That's really cool. If you wanted to do this type of thing in the United States, you could do it there. But Timo's databases are really reliable. I've done couple of runs of testing on them and they have all worked perfectly. Now, a couple notes is some of these leagues we weren't able to go down far enough. There just isn't a database for it. For example, Croatia only has their first 2 leagues, so that second league is really highly rated. So we're not going to be able to start in Croatia. Likewise, Germany, it's just too high. We're not going to be able to start there. Poland, not going to be able to start there. But most of these countries may be places where we could kind of dig in and get an initial job for. With that in mind, I am going to stop right here. I'm going to go through and I'm going to apply for jobs, and then we're going to come back and hopefully I'm going to have some job offers, and I'd love to get your help. Let me know what you think, which job we should take. We'll see you in a sec. It is quite a while later. After fidgeting around with interviews and looking at clubs and examining all kinds of things, we're down to 7 job offers, 2 of which we're going to discount. One is in Luxembourg for an amateur club. Probably won't be able to get coaching badges there, so I've kind of tossed that one out. We have 2 offers in Slovenia, 2 offers in Slovakia, and 2 offers in the Czech Republic. Those look to be the best of the ones that we've got left. One in Slovakia we're going to discount because it's not as good as the other. So there's 5 that I want to show you. Let's dig in. Now, all of these are half-star clubs, and they have quite a range of different things. And as well as the location is quite important too. Here is our first one. Let's take a look at the Slovenia clubs. This is Zrece. Zrece wants to pay us £300 a week, £8,000 transfer budget, the biggest transfer budget available to us, £1,700 per week wage budget, and I think they're using about 1.2 of it right now, so we would be able to probably sign some players. Want to have a mid-table finish. Now, an interesting thing about the club, they've already started their season. They have lost one and drawn one. And if we look here at some other general information, the pitch is in perfect condition. They have basic training facilities. I think this is the highest level of training facilities that we have available to us. Semi-professional team founded in 1961. And very importantly, let's take a look at the location. So if we look at our little circle map here, this is a circle, a 320-kilometer, 200-mile circle centered right on the town of Zrece. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. So this range is probably what we're looking at for potential moves. So this is pretty good, right? We could get into Hungary up here right above my head. We could get almost access to all of Austria, which might be a level we could reach. Could conceivably reach into Slovakia, the southern part of Czech Republic, and even the northeastern tip of Italy, which would be tough to find a team probably in that little slab of Italy. Croatia, although we get access to most of it, it would probably not matter because I think the level is going to be too high. So not a bad location though there for Slovenia. Let's take a look for Zrece in Slovenia. Let's take a look at our other Slovenia offer, which is Smarje. Very different here. They want to fight bravely against relegation, but check it out. £300 per week wage budget, transfer budget of £4,500, and a wage budget of £2,300 per week. And a matter of fact, I think we'd still have about 800 or so that we could spend on players. Now, one of the things about this is they have a very short season. So if we look at Smarje here, there's only on the right-hand side, we can see the league table. There's only 22 matches in the season, and a lot of it is played early on here in August and September. So I'm not sure how much we'd be able to actually influence the whole season with that money. Like, probably going to take us August to bring the players in, and they've already played like 6 or 7 of their games, like a third of the season maybe. So something to think about with that one. As far as the location goes for Smarje, it's okay. It's in the very, very southwest tip of Slovenia here, right? This little white dot. We would have access to Croatia, a big chunk of Italy, which would be an interesting move. And actually, I've got level 4 loaded in Italy, so that might be within reach. Nibble away at Hungary, and a big chunk of Austria here that we'd be able to get into as well. So that's our 2 Slovenia offers. Let's take a look at our Czech Republic offers. The first is Rosic. Let's get rid of this map here first. There we go. The first is Rosic, £600 per week wage budget, so double what they're offering us in the other in Slovenia. No transfer budget, £2,000 per week. I think they're using about £1,200 to £1,300 of it already, so it'd have a little bit of wage room. They want a mid-table finish, and if we take a look, they have already started their season as well. They are in this Moravska, let's see where they are here. They've played 2 matches, they've won 1, and they have lost 1. Now, if we look down at their owner, he loves the club and the facilities, very good pitch condition, poor training facilities. Semi-professional club, of course, half-star, and the average wage is £89 per week. If we look at the location for OCG, this is a good location for Czech Republic. Southeast corner of the Czech Republic, down by the city Brno, and we would have access to a lot of Slovakia, probably a good chunk of Poland, which might be possible. It's kind of a reach for us. A good chunk of Austria, maybe a little bit of Hungary if we could get going on our second move. Possibly some Germany as well, too. But not a bad location for a starting club, figuring this is what's going to give us for options going forward. If we look at our next option, our 4th option from Czech Republic, we have Benesov. Benesov, £525 per week, so not as much of a wage as Rosic would pay us, £1,900 per week, and I think there'd still be about 400 or 500 left. They also want a mid-table finish, and if we look at their facilities and stuff here, they have a perfect pitch condition, poor training facilities. The owner loves the club, so again, that's kind of a running theme here. If we look at their location, it's not as good as Rosic. It's higher up here, very much up near Prague in Czech Republic. So we'd be kind of getting more access to Poland and Germany and then Austria. And both Germany is going to be hard. Poland's going to be kind of hard for us to get into. So this would be probably a long hike to get out of Benisov here down into Austria or Slovakia would be our most likely choices for that one. Our last offer, if we go down here, it is Svatý Jur, which I have to confess, I really like the name. Now, this is an interesting one. Svatý Jur's offer, I have to look down in here because the email has gone. They want a top half finish. They're willing to pay us £1,000 per week. And the salary for the team would be, whole team would be £1.5 thousand per week. Team location is pretty good for this one. And here we go. They are in the very, this is right near Bratislava in Slovakia, right in the western edge of Slovakia. So we'd be able to get into most of the Czech Republic, Austria, a good chunk of Hungary, and those three countries have all pretty good levels of teams for us. So we might be able to make a second move into one of those countries. So very, very promising from that perspective. However, there is a big if with Svatý Jur, and let me show you what I mean. There's two concerns I have with the team. The first is, so at the beginning of the episode, I praised the Timo databases and how they worked, and I tested them all and things like that. However, if we go into this Slovakian league here, this league group 3 that they're in, and then we look at the rules, there's no promotion and relegation, and there should be. Because the Wikipedia page states that there is promotion for the top team and I think relegation for the bottom two. But for whatever reason, it isn't functioning in this database. Now, I don't know if that's a case with it's just turned off because of the pandemic season and it's going to come back next year, or it's something that just isn't put in right. In which case, we might be heading to a league that we can't get promoted out of. So that could be a concern with this team. But they're doing pretty well. They've won one match of the one match they've played. And if we look at their roster, the other concern I had was if we look a lot of their players here, the Slovakia leagues, especially this third level that comes in the custom database, seems kind of pretty wild ground. We have a lot of players that are either on very small wages or not making any money, and they're wanted by a lot of other teams. So I don't know if we'd be able to hold these players, and we might lose a lot of our players early on. So that has me a little bit concerned. The fact that promotion's gone, relegation's gone, which I suppose is nice, and also the fact that it looks like a lot of players are on the verge of getting poached from this club. But that is all of our offers at the moment. When we come to the end of this episode, the next step, of course, is to pick a club. And for this, I would love to ask for your help. Let me know what you think. What caught your eye with one of these clubs? Svatý Jur, which has like the coolest name ever. Want to go to the Czech Republic, Slovenia, Slovakia? What do you think? So drop a comment down below. As well, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on the idea in general. And I hope you'll follow along. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider giving it a like. And if you're new and want to keep up with everything that goes on, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification button for that. But that's all I got for today. We'll see you in a couple days. I'm going to kind of read the comments, think about things, then pick a team, jump right in, and we're going to play our first match and get started. And in the meantime, too, I've started walking. This is a third day now of walking. It's taken me about 3 days to put this together, and I've got about 7 miles a day. So far, so good. Steady as you go. So it's early days, which is pretty easy. Anyway, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you in a couple days.